Hello and welcome to the JSA Studio. I am your host, as always, Nathan, and today I'm coming at you with the second video in my team-by-team Big Ten season in review series. Today we will be talking about the Maryland Terrapins. But before we get into the video itself, at this time I am going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help out the channel if you did. And now with the intro done and out of the way, there's only one thing left to do, and that is to get started by starting with a review of Maryland's season. Obviously, this season did not go as planned. Heading into this season, I was actually fairly confident Maryland would be able to get to a bowl game, 6-6, 7-5. Generally speaking, I was higher on the team than they ended up being. I thought they had more talent than they appear to have actually had. I believe I predicted 6-6 at the beginning of the year. End up 4-8. All things considered, it's not that far out of the realm of possibilities. Biggest disappointment to me was Billy Edwards at quarterback. I don't particularly think he was actually any good at all. I think there's a definitive possibility, which we'll talk about later in the video, that you're actually going to get an improvement at the quarterback position with a true freshman. However, this season you ended up 4-8, 1-8 in the Big Ten, 17th overall in the Big Ten. And the question that I'm going to spend the majority of my time in this segment of the video on is Mike Locksley himself. Is he on a short leash? Does he need to make a bowl game next season? That's effectively the question here, which is, if he doesn't make a bowl game, is he going to get thrown out the window? Now, I am of the opinion that Maryland would be quite stupid to throw Mike Locksley out the window. I think he's a very good head coach. I think the fact that he's stuck perpetually in terms of resources as well as branding towards the bottom of the Big Ten is not a fault on him or his coaching ability. Maryland is not a program that is going to do better than consistently 7 or 8 wins. They might be able to rattle a team together and have a magical season like Indiana. That's a possibility, especially if they hit on the quarterback position like Indiana did. However, I'm not certain that that is what this next season is going to be, simply because I don't think you have the amount of talent that Indiana has and had this past season. Nevertheless, Mike Locksley, I don't think should be on a short leash, but I understand if you think he is, if you are frustrated at the lack of improvement, because you had very good quarterbacks each of the past 5 or 6 years with Tulila Tagovailoa and Billy Edwards. However, you've never really taken that next step into that, Iowa and Minnesota tier where you're really competing for 7, 8, 9 wins every year. You're not really taking that next step. So the question becomes, is Mike Locksley going to be that coach that can get you into that tier? Well, I think if you fired him, you'd have a hell of a hard time finding anybody who would do a better job. He's got connections in the DC era. He's recruiting his ass off, which still isn't good from a national perspective, but this is also Maryland here, okay? However, in this past recruiting class, this year's recruiting class, he pulled a rabbit out of his ass to get a top 50 quarterback commit, well, a top 50 overall player who happens to be a quarterback to commit. So that's a big deal, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But I think Mike Locksley is a fantastic coach. I think he would become the #1 candidate for any offensive coordinator position in college football and probably get some NFL looks as an offensive coordinator as well if he were to be fired. I talked at length about how I wanted Michigan to hire him should Maryland fire him as Michigan's offensive coordinator. Now, they got Chip Lindsey. Chip Lindsey, I think, is going to do a very, very good job. But Mike Locksley, I do think, would be better. Nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and move on here. The grade for the season is an F. The only reason it isn't an F minus is because you were not in last place and you did not fire your head coach. If you had done one of those other two things, it would have been an F minus. Just not a very good season all around. Finally, we have the new hope for Maryland, and that is top 50 talent Malik Washington from Maryland, from the DC area, I believe. He is coming in presumably to be your starting quarterback. It might not be right away. They might make him wait for 3 or 4 weeks for no real reason, which is what I think Michigan is going to do with their quarterback situation. However, I do think Malik Washington by the end of the year will be the starting quarterback. This kid is a big time talent, a near 5-star talent. I believe 247 has him ranked as the 5th best quarterback in this class. He's athletic. He can move around. He's got a good arm. I really think this kid has the potential to at least be as good as Billy Edwards was this past season in year 1. And then after that, in year 2, you expect him to take a leap. Then you expect him to take a leap in year 3. This might be the guy that changes the trajectory of this program. And one final point that I want to make here is I still believe in Mike Locksley. I think he's a good football coach who is being shackled somewhat by the institution that Maryland is, and somewhat by the fact that it's just really hard to get talent and elite talent to come to Maryland. But all in all, I do think he is doing his best. I think this is a good football coach and a program that has the potential to be on the up and up. But that's just me, and what do I know? I'm just some asshole on the internet giving you his opinion. So at this point, I'd like to remind you to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and if you disagree with me at any point, or you just have something to say, go ahead and drop a comment down in the comment section below. And now, with the outro done and out of the way, there's only one thing left to say, and that is that I will see you next time.